welcome to the Pipeline and People podcast powered by Resorix, the show where boutique firm leaders trade less admin for more advisory. Each week, we share actionable tactics to keep your client pipeline full and your people performing at its best. I'm your host, Jaden. Let's dive in. Today's guest is Holly Flick, founder of Markors, a customer retention consultancy that helps businesses and membership programs optimize their customer journey and reduce churn. Holly, welcome. Could you kick us off with a quick look at your background and what led to founding Markors?
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. I'm excited to be here. I like your podcasts. Hey, so history. I've been in the digital marketing space for a little over a decade, so 15 years. I started out in corporate sales and marketing, SaaS in particular, and then transitioned into just marketing. And then went out on my own about 15 years ago and focused pretty heavily on the digital marketing space for SaaS companies. That led to a few positions with companies that some people know, notably ClickFunnels, if people are aware of that MarTech company, where I was a content director and digital products director. And the experience and exposure there really kicked off a desire to solve the churn problem for SMBs with membership programs, any sort of recurring revenue model. I'm specifically focused on using education-based campaigns around their whole customer journey and right-sizing that CAC to LTV ratio using education. So I've been on my own for quite some time now, 15 years, and I love it. This is one of the biggest problems that SMBs have is once we get a customer, how do we keep them? And then even further, once we know who we're going after, how do we build a customer that's better before they buy, which is a big thing that education allows us to do.
Awesome. Thank you. I've recently took that leap into going out on my own as well. So glad to see you're still out here doing it 15 years later.
It's wild. It's wild. There's a good community out here. So yeah, there's lots of good people within boutique firms, as you know, that have hard knocks, learned everything that they needed to. And yeah, it's a good place to be.
For sure.
I'm sure you'll love it.
Yeah. So, you've worked across quite a few industries, but always with that focus on customer experience and retention. What specifically drew you into that work?
One of the things that you'd mentioned a little bit earlier was the difference between customer service, customer experience, and client growth versus client health. Thinking a lot of companies, especially in the marketing space, MarTech space, will focus heavily on the acquisition part of a customer journey, right? Because there's acquisition, there's conversion, and there's retention. Or you could say acquisition, ascension, and retention, right? Where we can sell further into an account and then, have an opportunity to keep them around. One of the blaring misnomers is that there's always more people to get to put in the top of a pipeline. And a lot of folks don't do their homework. And so the total addressable market for a lot of companies is not as big as they think it is. And so we can run out of people really fast. And the problem is, or we burn through those people and then they fall through the back in I've seen so many founders push so hard into how do I go get the next person? And it's almost totally the focus, especially of vision-led companies versus a product-led company where, visionary is just mostly sales. And they're like, let's go get people. And it's exciting. And there's lots of dopamine there. And when you have a sales-led company, everybody's excited a lot until things aren't working as well. And then it seems like the energy just dies. But if we build a company that can produce a better customer before they buy, and then keeps them around longer, the difference in just growth trajectory, but also just enjoyment in running a company like that as an SMB founder is black and white. So for me, I'd rather work on that back end because I know that's the most expensive problem existing companies have is keeping the customers they already have. When you look at the stats, if we can, and this one kind of blew my mind when I saw it for the first time, if we can keep a customer around longer, say a 5% increase in retention translates to a 25 to 95% increase in profitability. There are very few levers in marketing and sales that can produce a 95% profitability bump on the back end of a company. But like a 5% knob turn, right, in retention can bump profitability up in a huge way. And there are a bunch of stats like that. Like it's something like, I've got them all written down on my wall here because I think about them all the time. Like it's 5 to 25 times more expensive to go find a new customer than just to keep one you already have and sell them again. And when you look at the numbers, it's kind of a smarter, not harder way of working, but it's a tough nut to crack. And so being able to solve not only that churn problem, but now understanding that with an education based approach to how we bring customers in, if you bake education campaigns into the whole customer journey, we actually create a customer who is a high lifetime value customer before they ever buy. And it's a really cool way to right size that CAC to LTV ratio for all of us. And we're all in retention models in agencies, or recurring revenue models in agencies. Most of us, like some of us are, one-off type things where we'll, throw out something and get it done quickly and then find someone else. But most of us prefer a retainer model, at least in some form.
Yeah.
So we're all kind of in this SaaS, MRR, ARR model of running business. And, the ideal for that is that 4-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio, right? Like if we can keep people around 4 times, anyway, that stat that we're looking for. But the way to right size that CAC to LTV ratio really is, I think, impacted heavily with education campaigns. So for me, it's a fun nut to crack, and I found some unbelievable case studies and examples of companies that have done it, and then I've done it now hundreds of times with SMBs and growth stage companies, and it works every time.
Yeah. So could you walk us through one of those examples? You said you have some case studies. Like I'm really curious, when
Yeah.
you enter into an agency and they say we can't retain our customers at all, like what are the first few things that you start to look for, and how do you
Okay.
improve them?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this kind of answers some other questions that we had thought of talking about together, which was, what happens if a company comes to you and they feel like their customer journey is a little disjointed? What's the first lever that you'd ask them to pull?
Yeah.
Or what are some ways to create alignment without overhauling within your company, without overhauling everything that you do? Like how do we focus our company on making some changes that are small knobs that have the effect of a big lever? And so the first thing I do with any company is I ask if they have ever mapped out their customer journey end to end. And I call it a lead to loyalty mapping, right? But like, have you ever looked at every step a customer takes with you from the moment they've heard about you till the end? A lot of larger companies do this. They have whole CX departments and UX departments. There are CX departments that come through and they look at everything a customer does, and they have these elaborate maps. But the smaller a company is, the less likely we are to go through that process. It doesn't take very long. It could take 4 hours. Sometimes I'll challenge a company and say, hey, go around to your key stakeholders and inside your internal stakeholders and ask them what customers do. What do they? And most of them, they can say, well, my experience with the customer, they do this and this and this. And then somebody else will say, but over here they do this. But nobody really has this whole picture, nor do they have like an asset that explains what this process is, so everybody knows. So number one is help me understand the process that your ideal customer goes through. Secondly, that usually elucidates the fact that most people don't have a very clear ICP. So they don't have an ideal client or customer profile built at all. Nobody really, not very many people have sat down and said, and then communicated that across their firm or across the company. So that's the second thing we would do, is just look at that and say, okay, now how, who is it that you're reaching out to? And then we would, so I guess the question you asked me, which I want to stop and make sure I'm doing, is talking about a specific company and some case studies around that. So I can't name some names with some of these larger companies that I've worked with, but 20-year-old MarTech company, thousands of customers over the years. Their CAC is really high. It's causing problems, obviously. Maybe like a 1-to-1 CAC to LTV ratio, which means we're losing money over time, right? And so how do we right size this problem? And the first thing, like I said, that we did was we looked at their customer journey and talked deeply into their ICP, which was and was not clear across their whole company. And again, this company has 500 employees. And then we come back and we say, okay, let's take a minute and let's find along our journey, once we've mapped it out, let's find sticking points. And this company had an MRR model, obviously was a MarTech. So let's talk to your people in customer service. And let's say once somebody comes in, and you can call them like aha moments. What are moments where the light bulb turns on for your clients? And they say, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Or I get it now. Or something that makes it clear that they're going to stick. They're like, this is fantastic. I get it now. I'm willing to invest the time into working with your agency or working with this software a little more, or they're willing to engage with the other firm a little bit better or more or deeply. And usually there's like 3 to 5 of those things within the first, we say M4, like within month 1 through 4, there is something there that our highest lifetime value customers will find, and they'll say it out loud over and over again. And so if you get somebody who's worked with these folks or onboarded these folks, you're like, man, if I could just get them to see this, this, and this, then they'll never leave, right? They'll completely understand the benefit of said product or service. And so we find those, and then here's the ticket. We try to grab one of those at least, and we bring it out front into a marketing motion, and we either give it away or we sell it for low ticket. So say this particular MarTech, one of the ahas was I can get a lead online. I don't have to go knock on doors anymore. I'm an insurance salesman. I don't have to go knock on doors anymore. That's like, oh my gosh, I understand that your tool helps me get leads online. It's fantastic. So we're going to now make an education product, like a 5-day challenge that says, I challenge you in 5 days to get your first lead online. And I'm going to, and mentally, I want to knock that domino over that tells them they can get their first lead online. And then I'm going to walk them through the process of doing it with us. And we just pull a CSM, a customer service manager, or someone who's been teaching people in the back end who are already customers. We just take that entire process that they're already doing and we just put it up front and we sell it. It's a self-liquidating offer. So we say we spend $27 to get the person in and we sell it for $47. It's a $47 5-day challenge that teaches you to get your first lead online. Now I've self-liquidated and now I've been paid for this lead that comes in. In the meantime, they also sign up for the service because they have to learn the tool in order to get this first lead. And so 5 days in, they have a free trial to the service. They've paid me to be there, which is fantastic. I've taught them the foundations of marketing online and maybe some really key things that they need to know in order to be successful in their business, whatever that business is, in 5 days. And then I would upsell them to another one of my aha moments, which is I can actually make money online. So I can get a lead, which I don't care if it's your grandmother. That's great. Like that's a lead. Somebody went through a process and said, I'm interested in your stuff. And then we're going to move them into great, good job on your 5-day thing. You now understand that you can get leads. You get it? Everyone's going to celebrate. We're going to throw that stuff all over your social. I got a lead. Like I get this. This is fantastic. We're going to celebrate you in our community. And then we're going to say, hey, if you want what's next, let's move you over here. And we're either going to sell or move you straight into a 30-day challenge. That's like, hey, in 30 days, we're going to get you $1. Like we're going to show you that you can actually collect money into your real money that you can go buy bubblegum with or whatever else online, right? That's another aha moment that people, when they see that, they're like, oh my gosh, I can do this. Now, this MarTech is massive, and getting a lead and selling a thing for $1 is nothing, in the grand scope of what this tool is able to do. But now I've created a customer that believes in themselves that they're able to do this. They trust you that you can guide them through these things. And they've now invested at this point 35 days into this tool, and they don't want to go anywhere else. By day 9 of the 30-day challenge, they have now paid you, say it's $100 for the 30-day challenge. They've now paid you $147. Plus they have been charged for that first month of service for the service you had, because the 15-day free trial has come up in the middle of that, right? And if you build the challenge right, you've given them exactly what they want. You've now taught them that they can put their business online and they can get leads and get sales. And then the rest of it is an upsell into, great, now let's move you into our premium onboarding program where we have a one-on-one coaching accountability that walks you through this and teaches you all the things you need to know. And now they trust you to be the authority that brings them the things that they need in order to get what they want, which is growing their business. But that's all because you went through the process of understanding what the customer does, what they need to hear in order to win with whatever your product or service is. And then you can give them that. And you can do this for any company. You can do this for marketing companies. You can do it for consulting companies. It's giving people the education that they need that may or may not be associated with your particular niche or product. I mean, I'm teaching marketing for maybe a MarTech that only builds websites, right? We all know ClickFunnels. Like ClickFunnels, it's a funnel builder. And at ClickFunnels, we taught you how to to grow your business with marketing, but we also brought people in who understand finances. And we like make sure you, when you make money, you don't lose it out the back end, right? Like we'll teach you how to manage that stuff. Like what it does is if we can think about ourselves, whether we're a boutique consulting agency or a SaaS company, if we can think about ourselves as a platform instead of a product, people will start trusting us as the go-to place and they'll never want to leave. Because it's like, hey, this is a cool product, but I trust that Jaden's going to bring me XYZ person into my life that can also help me with something else. Because Jaden just has my best interest, or he's interested in my health, not just growth of his company, right? So anyway, that's long-winded answer to your question.
Yeah, it's a very fascinating approach. It works. Yeah, sounds like it works quite well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all seen companies do this ad nauseum, at scale with like HubSpot is great at weaving education into everything that they do, in their inbound conference that does this. And ClickFunnels again has a 6,000 person event every year that people are just rabid about, and they just finished their 10th year, so they don't not doing it anymore. But you know, there are three things that are really important in these tactics, and it's building content, community, and communication. Right? Like if we can build educational content around the whole journey, there's different ways of doing that, and then build some community where people can talk to each other and celebrate each other. Then now you've built this kind of stickiness around what you're doing. Like if you can be a consultant in Toronto and be known as the person who throws events once a month and brings people together to learn about whatever it is you're consulting about, you bring in other consultants and you just become that like middle of the wheel where everybody's just like, man, Jaden, like that guy's got my back. Like I kind of know what he sells and I buy his stuff and it's great, but like he also will, like, if I have something I need, I'm gonna go talk to Jaden. Like that's what a good community holder can do, right? And then, in communication, like touch points. Marketers are really good at marketing touch points, making sure that they're following up people, and salespeople are good at calling people. But then when they get into inside the company, we just kind of let them fall off unless we're trying to sell them something else or talk at them about the product. So those are things I think about.
Yeah, no, it's all very interesting. I want to turn the lens in a little bit to Markors now. So what's next for you guys? Where do you see yourself 6 to 12 months from now? Like any upcoming launches, platforms, expansions? What are you excited about?
Yeah, we have a couple really fun projects that I can't give all the details of things, but we have been approached a couple times, and we have several different divisions of what we do. One is working with larger, middle market SaaS companies. I'm sorry, my brain just went sideways. Middle market SaaS companies to work on this CAC to LTV ratio correction. We have a couple projects like that are just really exciting and kicking off right now. And then we have the part of our business that works with the actual information business owner who is running a large audience of people and content products and digital education products, training companies. And then another project we're starting that's going to be really fun. We've had a couple people ask us to train people to build a training product of our own, which is our first foray into what we tell other people to do. So it's kind of our turn to step in and say, hey, this is how if I was to build an education company, this is how I would do it without needing to engage with the firm. So online training programs of our own, and may lead to a community, maybe not. We'll see. But there's a lot going on there. So it's kind of overdue for us to step into that space.
Mm-hmm. No, that's very exciting. Obviously the LTV to CAC ratio it's the facts, it's the revenue, it's, that's what you look for. But what other benefits do you see when you step into a company? Like, does it have an effect on culture? Does it have an effect on morale? Like, where else do you see benefits from your services?
Oh yeah, I think the thing that we hear the most is we have silos in our company. We have really, really good people working on really important projects and they're doing great. But the cohesive, we're all pulling in the same direction piece is difficult sometimes, especially when a company gets above 25 employees, if we're looking at a smaller firm, right? Where it's like, everybody's just busy working on their thing. So when we come in and we create these customer journey docs and these ICP profiles, it kind of brings everybody back together. It's a collaborative effort. It really only takes like 4 hours, like I said, to do most of this work. Maybe 6 if we want to throw in a little more research on the ICP stuff. But you end up with some artifacts that pull the whole company together, and everyone will sit down and say, "Oh my gosh, that makes sense now. Like I understand that on the map, I am here in the process for someone, but now I understand so much better where they've come from and where they're going after me. And so I can so much better do my job, and I see where I am in the whole thing. And it just makes it feel more like I understand the community internally that we're building and what we're all trying to do, instead of we all show up for a job every day and just get something done. We're all collaboratively serving this person that we drew up and that we all understand now. And this is how we're serving them. And then it's really easy to say, how would you do this better? And everybody gets to feel empowered and excited about, like, you know what would be really cool is when somebody hits this milestone at month 6, we just send them something cool. Or like, can we just call them? Like, I just want to call them. Can I call them and be like, good job, Jaden? Like, you just rocked that. I can't believe you just did that. Like, good job. Or like, can we highlight those people, or can we put those people on our dashboards, on our, those big monitors we have in our office? Like, how do we get excited now about this process? But if it's not visual, if people can't see what they're working on, it's kind of like going on a road trip and everybody's in a different car and you're all kind of going in the same direction, but you're looking at different things, and somebody's pulling off for gas over here and somebody's doing this. And so everybody's lived experience inside the company looks drastically different. Y'all get to the same place, but then, at the end of the year party, you're like, hey, we worked on stuff and you were over there and I was over here, and like, hi, we wear the same shirt. I don't know, like,
Yeah, that's
it's
that's a good analogy. I like that one.
Yeah, right. It's a cool cohesive moment when we can all sit down, and it's almost like, a key part of a business plan that people just don't follow through on. And I think most SMBs just don't know it exists, so they just don't do it. And it's like, I didn't either forever, so I didn't really realize it's something that we pulled back in from corporate. But like, there's a reason that it's done at some of the highest performing companies and agencies in the world. I love it. I think it's really powerful.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Well, we got a few minutes left here, so I want to kind of start closing things off, and we're going to do a quick lightning round. So I have a few questions, just quick answers, whatever is off the top of your head.
Okay.
All right. What is the biggest myth about customer retention?
That it will take care of itself. Like, customers that are happy will renew, and they won't most of the time.
Okay. One simple CX tweak that founders could start, trying this week.
Bring a moment into marketing and sell it.
Okay. A lesson that you've learned from a client or industry outside of your own?
It's good. Henry Ford was known for seeing around corners, and it was like miraculous. He was ahead of his industry, the automotive industry, for like, it was famous that he was able to see things, like he knew what was coming. And somebody asked him one time, how do you see around corners? Like, how are you able to do this? And he said, it's the 80-20. And they're like, oh, I know that. And he's like, no, it's a different rule. He's like, I spend 20% of my time learning about and talking to people in industries completely outside of automotive. And that's what gives me the ability to draw correlations and then see what's coming, because I've seen things in other industries and I can draw mental pictures and dots. So when something starts to happen in my industry, I can say something like, it's the pattern recognition thing that he was able to do. But he's like, I talked to my gardener about why they fertilize plants in a certain way. Right? Like, so I do that. It's actually a value inside our company that everybody is able to spend 25% of their time somewhere else. And then we have a place in Slack where they come and they bring that information. Like, hey, did you know that farmers do this, or that, automotive industry just did this, and that's why that works like that. And so 80-20 is a big deal for me.
That's really interesting. I like that. Okay. Finally, what's one of the best pieces of advice that you've ever been given?
Go to therapy. I think, and I mean, to be truly honest, probably something around, that's a little bit of a joke, but kind of not. Being a founder of a small business is tough. It's a lot of work, and it really is really lonely. It's a lonely thing. So, therapy may be, going out and making sure that you're taking care of yourself by being active in the mountains. For some people, it may be just having a community and making sure somebody else knows it may actually be talking to a therapist. But self-care as a founder has like, somebody focused my attention on that early on, and I'm so grateful. And they joked about it. Literally everybody should be in therapy that's a founder. But it's really important to focus on the health of the founder, because we're the first ones we're the first ones to get exhausted and the whole company falls. So I'd say that's important.
All right. Well, Holly, I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Where can people connect with you or learn more about Markors?
Yeah, markors.com, but really, I am on Instagram and all other platforms at Hello Holly Flick. So across all, I'm that handle, and that's the easiest thing. Shoot me a DM, and I love the discourse about this sort of thing. And so any ideas that you have or questions, I love to hear about it. And shoot me your 80/20 that you found about gardening, and we'll see what we can correlate. Right.
Yeah, there you go. If this episode sparked ideas, share it with a colleague or founder. Tag Holly, tell her what your 80/20 is. And until
Right.
next time, I'm Jaden Parisi. This is the Pipeline of People podcast.